Hey friends, welcome back to A Homesteading Hustle. Today I'm going to share with you my sourdough discard pizza recipe. What makes this one extra special, besides the fact that I actually made it myself one day, is that you can do it the same day that you want to actually eat the pizza. So you don't have to prep for it the night before, which is unlike a lot of the recipes that I've looked up in the past. This is actually the only sourdough pizza that I make now, because once I did it, I kind of perfected how we liked it. And I haven't veered from it since. And so it is a very sturdy pizza, and so it really holds up to a lot of toppings if you like to load your pizzas up like our family does. So we are going to use an unfed discard today. So again, you don't even have to have a fed starter for this to work really well. You just need a lot of discard on hand. It does take 2 cups of discard for this recipe, and that makes 2 large pizzas. I would say the size of the pizza is probably going to be a 12 to 14 inch, just depending on what kind of pan or stone that you use. I use a pizza stone for this recipe. You do want a preheated hot stone or a large cast iron skillet for this recipe. You can also do little ones as well. I just haven't done that, so you can go ahead and experiment as well. I'm just going to share you my secrets right now. Okay, so I just pulled my starter out of the fridge. Well, I shouldn't say I just did it. I did this about 2 hours ago. Just kind of let it sit at room temperature for a little bit to kind of just start to get a little bit of the bubbles. I just had it stored in the fridge because I worked this week and I didn't have time to feed it. If you're not feeding and actively using your starter, you do want to put it in the fridge or it gets really hungry. And then it'll create a hooch, and then you get more of that sour flavor, which some people prefer. I don't mind the sour flavor at all. My family seems to like it a little more neutral, but regardless of what you're making with it, the pizza is a good go-to for any type of starter. So, like I said, I had it sit out for a little bit. This is an unfed starter. I actually haven't fed this starter in probably 4 days or so. I don't know if we can see that there. Just bringing it to room temperature starts to activate the bubbles a little bit if you've had an active starter. If your starter's been discarded in the fridge for a while and it has hooch on it and it's really hungry, you might want to give it a feeding or 2 before you do this recipe. Otherwise, you know, a week, no problem. This will work just fine. So we're going to take 2 cups of our discard here and put it in our bowl. This does not have to be super duper precise. If you have just under 2 cups or whatnot, that is totally fine. We're gonna put that, there's 1 cup there. And then I might scrape this into this right here. So here's the other thing that's really cool about an active sourdough starter is I'm going to use almost all of the discard that I have on hand here, and the tiny bit that's remaining in this mason jar here is going to be plenty to give a feeding to get a new starter going for the week if I want to bake bread or whatever I want to do with it. A little leavening goes a long way, and that is a true statement. So, all right, there we have our 2 cups of sourdough starter. Like I said, it's a really great recipe for a use up of discard. So now you can see in my jar here, I've literally there's just remnants on the side here. I'm going to feed this. This is going to be my new starter for the week. This is the starter that I've been using for months now, and it's just been super active, super great. So this will have no problem getting nice and bubbly within the next 24 hours or so. So to these 2 cups of starter, we're going to add 2 cups of water. Now I have a well, so this is just well water. It is cold water. It just kind of depends on how fast you want your pizza to, you know, get a little bit of body before you actually put it on the pan. Like I said, this is a same day recipe, so you really don't have to do it super far in advance. It is about 12:30 right now, and I'm going to bake these pizzas probably right around 6 p.m. tonight. I have started this recipe as late as like 4 o'clock. Like if you just do this a little bit beforehand and you had some activity in your starter within the last week, this should be just fine. All right, there's our 2 cups of water. Like I said, that's just kind of cool water straight from our well. Just stay away from any kind of city water. That stuff has fluoride in it, and that's bad for you. Okay, so to that, we're just going to stir, loosen that up a little bit, and then we're going to add in a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Now this, to me, this is kind of the ticket to make this crust extra special. It gives it just a really, like, it gives it that Italian feel, you know? So, oh, it's, gosh, Italian seasoning smells so good. I'm just gonna get a nice generous palmful here. That's about a tablespoon. You can do more or less, whatever. If you don't like Italian seasoning, you can definitely omit it. I do think that it adds something special. So we'll add that. And then we're also going to add in a tablespoon, actually just scant a tablespoon, so just shy of a tablespoon of a good salt. And actually, you know what, really honestly, it's about 2 teaspoons, about 2 teaspoons of a kosher salt. Kosher salt seems to be a little more mild than a traditional like table salt that's really finely ground. So I do recommend, if you're going to do this amount, so about 2 teaspoons of salt, use the kosher. Otherwise, if you're using like a table salt, which is much finer ground, do just more of a teaspoon. Okay, so there is our seasonings for here. So now all that's left, we are going to add 4 cups of just an all-purpose flour. So I have some all-purpose flour here. I'm going to grab my cup. I don't sift this or get any fancy equipment out for this. And here I am making a mess. That's my jam. All right, we are just going to roughly measure 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now this recipe, this dough is going to be very, very hydrated. It's a rough dough. So, and that's why it's really important to have a pizza stone or a cast iron skillet, because the key to making this dough actually work is having that preheated right away, because we are spreading it out, and like I said, it's super loose and hydrated, and so we really need to have a hot surface to put it on. So go ahead and give that just kind of a stir. If you have a dough stir or anything like that, you can go ahead and use that. I just have a spatula because that's just what I'm working with right now. It doesn't have to be super well mixed. We're just going to give it a rough mix, and then we'll come back to this in a little bit. So we're just going to give this, so this has been sitting for actually 2 hours, which you can do this really at any point after about 30 minutes. I had to step outside the house for a moment. And it's going to be, again, it's going to be really sticky. But you're just going to, you can do some stretch and folds. They're not really going to create tension really. We are just kind of doing an extra little mix here, making sure all that flour and water has been incorporated. And once you kind of just go around a few times, you could even do like the squish method if you want, whatever you want to do here. Just go around a few times, and over the next, couple hours, or until you bake, basically, until you want to be baking off this crust, just do this periodically. If you only get 1 in, no big deal. I've totally made this, like I said, like 2 hours before actually baking it, and it turns out great every time. So if you do this a couple times, you will get a little bit of a fluffier, airier crust, and if you don't do this as much, it's just going to be a little more flat. But no big deal, really. It's delicious either way. Okay, so over the last couple hours, I have done just a little bit of a stretch and fold type of mixing on this dough here, and it doesn't really change texture much. Like I said, we're not really looking for, we're not really building structure or anything. Again, it's a same day recipe, so it's still pretty rough, which is exactly what we need. It's going to be really loose, and again, very hydrated going on the pizza pan stone here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I have the oven preheated right now to 425, and I have my stone in there. And you wanna fully preheat the stone in there up to that 425 degrees. If you can leave it in there longer for the stone itself to fully heat through, awesome. But you really just need the surface of it to be hot and ready to go. So this dough is going to make 2 pizza crusts, and I will show you one and I'll kind of talk you through it, and then I'll make the other one, and you can just watch, and I'll probably put some music on there for you. And then, yeah, it's gonna be great. Okay, so this stone is super hot. Just pulled it out. Now, if your stone is well seasoned, you shouldn't really have any issues with sticking, but just to be on the safe side, regardless if it's seasoned or not, you're gonna put just a tiny bit of some kind of oil or something right in the center. I'm just gonna use just a non-stick spray. I guess I'll use the olive oil one, not really the butter one. I'm just gonna put it just a little bit in the center. I really want this to stick on the edges a little bit because that's gonna help us to form this. So you wanna do this part quick. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot. I'm just going to get it going. You want to do it while it's still really nice and hot. This is 2, so we're going to do the best that we can, and we're going to split this dough. So, and then we're literally, here we go, we're going to plop it on. I have a baby behind me that's eating dinner, throwing things on the floor. Okay, now we're going to just spread this out, and it is going to start sizzling and cooking as you're putting it on the pizza stone. Okay, so you want to do this quickly without tearing it. So just do a little bit at a time, and you're gonna get it as far as you can without tearing it. It's very sticky. Like I said, it's a very hydrated dough. And try, if you can, sorry, she's whining behind me. If you can, try to make a little lip on the edge. If you don't make a lip, no big deal. Hey, baby girl, relax your body. Just a normal Friday night, you know. Okay. So it's cooking underneath. I can tell that the bottom is starting to cook, and that's exactly what we need. Make sure, try not to have any holes in there. Okay, we have it spread into a nice little circle here. Make sure that hole stays there. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands super quick, and then we're going to put a little bit of olive oil on here and pop this back into our 425-degree oven, and we're going to bake it for about 16 minutes. In that amount of time, it should get like really, it's just kind of a nice golden brown on it. It should be fully cooked, and then we're going to add our toppings, and then you're just going to bake it for another 5 to 6 minutes, and then give it a quick broil for like 1 to 2 minutes. So this part is pretty hands-off once you put it in for the 16 minutes, but once you put the toppings on, you want to do the rest of that, or stick around so that you are ready when the pizza is ready. Okay, so little lady here is making it very difficult to make this happen, but we're going to do it one-handed. She's on my hip now. So like I said, we're just going to drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil. I just have some EVOO here from Costco. And, I mean, if you have one of those fancy olive oil pourers, go for it. But we're just gonna see what we can do with the large jug here. And there we go. Just a little bit on the surface. No need to get it on the edges. Olive oil has a low smoke point, and so it will just kind of smoke if you get it on the edges. So just kind of keep it in the center. We've already salted the dough, so we don't need to put anything else on it before we pop it in the oven. Again, put it in the 425-degree oven for about 16 minutes. All right, oops. Okay, so we can tell that it's all fully cooked, and the olive oil is still just hanging out in the center. That's exactly what we want. Now we're going to add our sauce, and we're going to add our cheese and whatever toppings, however you want to layer your pizza. This one's just for the kids, and so I'm going to keep it super simple. They like to do half marinara, half barbecue, and just some cheese on top. We're going to keep it super simple for them, so I will do that right now. Alright, so I walked away for an extra minute, and it's a little extra brown, but it is delicious. And it just slides right off onto this little Lazy Susan I have here. If you have a pizza peel, that's even better. But we are just going to, actually, you know what? I'm just going to pop this back into my oven to get it out of my way. Then you can actually see what's happening here. Alright, so we have our beautiful pizza now. It has slid right onto this Lazy Susan, no problem. Now here is the best part that's really going to push this over the edge as far as deliciousness goes. So we're going to take butter, and we are going to put it around the edges here. And then we're going to top that butter with a garlic salt. And that really completes the crust and makes it amazing. This is actually an unsalted butter. If you use salted butter, just add just a plain garlic powder so you're not over salting. But we just take, you can use a brush if you prefer. I just happen to have a brand new stick. We're just going to do this. Do it while it's hot. That is the key. And you're going to put it all the way around. And don't be shy about that butter, because this is flavor. Okay, so just gonna get that all delicious. Oh yeah. Now we're gonna take our garlic salt, and you can make your own garlic salt with garlic powder and salt if you want. I just have a premix here, and we're going to sprinkle it around the edges of the crust here. And there it is, a delicious sourdough pizza. This one in particular is half marinara, half barbecue sauce for the kids, and it is going to be absolutely delicious. I'll go ahead and slice this up, show you up close so you can see what it looks like, and then I will put the second pizza in. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Now go make some pizza.